Guys, we are back for another Dokkan battle video. Okay. So, Global Dokkan, they did go ahead and perform the emergency maintenance. All the issues were fixed on Global Dokkan, which is good. So, after a full week, I'm sorry. After a full week of the game being broken, they said, all right, guys, here's 10 stones. 10.
Why are you laughing? What's funny about that?
All right, now here's why this is funny. I would argue this is a legitimate global shaft. Like this, like you go down in the annuals of global history, this is a legitimate global shaft because it's like at the start of the year, right? The step up issue led to a lot of players like getting like refunded stones and stuff like that. Like as time goes on, I think players would think of that fondly, right? But this was a situation where I think Global actually was treated rather unfairly, considering the game was broken for a week, and they didn't really communicate too much, and then they give out 10 stones. Seems a little bit low.
Well, think about this. Think about it this way. This is 10 stamina bars of link leveling.
Yeah. Because they basically said, global players, guess what content you guys could do for the next week? You can link level. Have fun.
Yeah.
I mean, because like when they dropped the Infinite Dragon Ball history notice in the news, and they said like, "Hey, the event's gonna go away on this date," and like it hadn't been there for a week already, it was a little weird, right? Like definitely a little odd. I don't know, guys. Honestly, like I'm kind of giggling because like this is just like, how am I ever gonna sit here now and say like, "Oh, dude, Global is like secretly is treated so much better than JP," because like, you know. I must confess, if this happened on JP, 10 stones, I don't know. I would have to imagine it'd be a little bit more than 10 stones as compensation. I just sort of get that feeling.
Let me just chime in real quick because I think if this happened on JP, the first thing that they would do is it would not take this long to get fixed. What do you think?
Yeah, JP. The only one was the remember what did the Dokkan Wiki say? The sewage of bugs or something like that for the Kale and Khalifa situation. Yeah. That was actually like a week or so. Like that definitely wasn't like a day.
You can still play the game though, right?
Yeah. That was just more so. It was an inconvenience for me because I couldn't really do showcases since attack stats were wrong. But that wasn't like you like people were still tweeting me earlier today like I used a Icarus and my game crashed. What happened? What's going on? Like a lot of people didn't know like about this issue still, right? Like you could actually play. Right. So I don't know, man. I definitely can understand like if a lot of people are going to be super frustrated about this. I don't know. Like I was saying, I think yeah, this is perfect. Yeah. Jesse from Breaking Bad is like, oh man. Like I tossed out the idea of 50 stones as like sort of like compensation, which as I said that in my head, I'm thinking, dude, that like it just doesn't feel like they're gonna get that, but I think like that would be good sort of like compensation for this, right? Just here's a multi for Broly, right? Because if they gave out 50 stones, everyone is probably summoning for that Broly tomorrow. I don't know if like they must have some sort of data where it's like they're hesitant about giving out some stuff, but it just I don't know. It's very dude.
Yeah,
like,
I just because okay, here's the thing too, because before this happened, one of the bigger global sort of like issues that we've had was the UI Goku step up banner issue, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like they didn't really understand the magnitude of the problem. And I think if the community didn't speak up about that or talk about that as much as they did, they wouldn't have done anything about it, right? They're just not as in tune with the problem and the sentiment of the global community as much as the JB community. And that's just, you can't really help that because that's just, Japanese community is more in touch with the Japanese side of their game, right? That's just how it is. But I feel like on this one, they really, really were off the mark, like a lot.
You mentioned this to me earlier, I think off camera, but it does seem as though like the language barrier is a real issue for Dokkan, right? It just seems like they're
Yeah.
not good at communicating with the global side at all.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it might be a problem. I don't know. Again, I don't really know how like they're structured and stuff, but I know they have a separate sort of location. I think it's like a Taiwanese location where they do the translations for their games. That's what Akatsuki does and uses for that.
yeah,
So I don't know if it's some kind of like organizational issue that they have where it's not streamlined properly and it just takes longer for the stuff to get communicated or like, elevated to the right department. But it is a problem. And it's something that we see more so in Dokkan than I would argue that we see in other games.
it's just I just see the global side of things, and it's like there's so many situations where they're real close, right? Like they do a good job with a lot of the discounts, a lot of the tickets, right? Like a lot of the times the conversation for like global NGP does come down to like these tickets and stuff like that, but it's just like I feel like it's the communication is just the biggest thing. They Dokkan a lot of times has been sort of bad with communication. Like I remember I thought that they were handling very poorly leading up to the release of Gogeta Blue and like Broly for the first time. Like they were just like so mysterious about it, and there's just like all of a sudden Christmas dinner. Oh, guess what? Here's Gogeta and Broly coming. Like I just feel like that's one thing they should improve. It's just their sort of communication with overall things like this. Like they did put a bunch of sort of so yeah, like I've got all types of stuff pulled up. Like I wanted to really see what a lot of people were saying, but broke the game and gave us back 1/5 of a multi. This is peak comedy. Yeah, it's I. So okay. Again, I'm actually kind of like a little surprised. Like my natural like response here is to just laugh, but like I know people are gonna be so mad at me for doing that. But like, what was it? The 7th. What day was it? Where is it? Here, let me. I can't even find it now. Okay, so starting on the 9th, right? They sort of like talk about all these issues, right? Like they talk about it extensively in the news. They closed half of the game. Many of these, like, like the cooler Dokkan event and stuff like that, seemed like it was probably closed because the event had like special conditions with support items, right? Where like, what is it? The Senzu Beans and then Icarus you can't use in there. So obviously that must have had some sort of like issue with it. And then they really waited 6 days before they then gave another update. Like I don't, if they had not waited that long, like if it was like a daily update, like, oh, we're still just working on the issue and stuff like that, I feel like this wouldn't be as bad, right? Like if there's just more communication.
I feel like something that made it worse too was the fact that they were posting on social media like, oh, the category summon banner is live. And it's like, oh, 2 more days to Saiyan Day. And they're just not talking about the actual issue that people are like. You look through the comments of those social media posts, and it's just people asking them to fix the game, right? They don't care about Saiyan Day. They don't care about the banner coming. They just care about them fixing the game.
Yeah.
Because that's the main thing that they want. They don't like. Yeah, they're gonna care about Saiyan Day when it happens, but like every single comment on here, I guarantee you, is about them fixing the bugs.
Yeah, it's just like going through like every comment. It's like, hey, you guys want to fix the game or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, this really is the optimal reply right here. Just sort of
yeah, that's my reply. Yeah.
Yeah. I do like that because that's very direct. All right, let's see. Did you? Oh, the ratio. You're right there. So I don't know. I really would like to hear what a lot of global players think about this. I mean, obviously, 10 stones is definitely not enough. Now, I'm already seeing a lot of people talking about doing stuff like review bombing and boycotting and stuff like that. I want to tell y'all, I don't think anything like that. Like, that's not the way to sort of do it, right? Like, I don't think review bombing does anything. Just being honest, I don't think they care. Like, that would not do anything, right? Like, we've seen other communities sort of try some of this stuff, and it hasn't worked. There was one time it did work with Grand Cross, but the company that does Grand Cross, Netmarble, they're a little bit more forward with a lot of their stuff, right? Like they have like they're releasing like patch notes and like all types of stuff. They've got like a content creator program. Like they're very much more, I would say, in tune with the community than like Akatsuki and Bandai are with a lot of their games. So I don't know. The one point I would like to reiterate I did from a video a couple of days ago was that if you are really finding yourself upset by these types of things, I mean, don't be scared to just not play Dokkan anymore, right? Because games are supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be having fun playing Dokkan. It shouldn't be a source of distress or a source of being upset or anything like that. You know, if it's not living up to your expectations, don't be scared to just stop playing. I mean, because the easy answer would be switch to JP. But it's like, if you've been playing for Global for 5 years, do you just want to give up 5 years and go to JP? Like, on a whim? Like, it's not. At a certain point, it just doesn't become realistic, right? Like, I could say I played Global for about a year, or I don't know, maybe more like 8 months. And then I just gave up my Global account and switched to JP, and I've never regretted it since. But, I mean, this is now 5 years ago, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. But the one thing I will say is that this sort of cycle of Global Shaft, like it's been around since day one. Like, this is not like, oh my god, I can't believe this. Like, people were laughing like, oh, can't wait for the 5 stones to come in, the 3 stones to come in, and then it ended up being 10 stones because like these types of things have been around since Global was created. So it's like it's at this point to think that things will be different moving forward is just sort of folly. Like, the way things
Yeah.
are on Global is the way they're probably going to be, right? Like,
hmm I guess the thing that people really want to know is, like, can this get changed, or is there a way for us to change their mindset on this? And I don't know the answer.
uh, I don't know. I mean, it did when the step up issue happened, right? Where I want to pull that up real fast. The step up issue happened where the UI Goku was accident. It was obviously like not intentional, right? Like, especially the way things happen. This Goku was in there instead of this guy, right? And like Akatsuki themselves did not realize this for several days. The banner was up for multiple days before it was removed. Then everyone who had summoned on it got refunded, and then all players got 10 stones. Well, it's so funny. So, like, the game being broken for an entire week got the same amount of stones as, like, this, like, one character not being available on certain steps. Like, it
Yeah.
does seem like this issue that just happened was far worse, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's just whenever there's something to do with a banner, even if it doesn't, because then people always talk about the 300 stone thing, which I don't want to amplify that, but I'm going to bring it up because I want to make a certain point. People always bring that up as like, oh, well, this was way worse than the 300 stone thing. And while it was worse in substance, in appearance, the 300 stone issue was way worse than this, which is what matters more than actual substance, right? This is obviously a much more pervasive issue than the 300 stone issue, because that was just a visual bug with the scouter not showing certain units on it. So people assumed that that meant that certain units were not available to them specifically on their accounts, right? That was the whole debacle with that.
Yep.
And it blew up. It appeared in like Japanese Yahoo or whatever. And so in appearance, that appeared to be the worst, like the worst thing that ever happened to the game or something like that.
Yeah.
But it didn't actually change anything with the game. It was just, it looked bad and it gave them really bad PR, which is why they had to give so much compensation. This, on the other hand, was just an actual bug that was, in effect and in practice way worse than the 300 stone issue was. But, looking at it from an outsider's perspective, this is not something that's going to appear in, Japanese Yahoo or anything like that. So it's not as egregious looking as the other issue was.
I do think too. I made this point shortly after it initially happened, but because of the fact that they themselves addressed it immediately, I feel as though, like, to them it's like, yeah, like whoops, we made a whoopsie, sorry, but we're working on it, right? Like, we'll get it done. And then it's like, oh, here's a small gift as an apology that it took us this long. But when the major compensation happens, like the 300 stones, or even, again, like the refunds for this banner, this was an issue that they themselves were unaware about. An issue that was in the game for at least a certain amount of time where they didn't talk about it themselves. To me, that seems like another thing, right? Where it's like, had they not addressed it themselves that first day, and then like a couple days happened before they talked about it, I think at that point compensation might have been higher. Right? Do you think like that might be sort of...
Maybe, yeah, if they didn't catch it in time. That's fair. I mean, I'm always in the camp that they should just give more, because this is an issue that, looking throughout the history of all these issues and bugs with the game, this is at the top of the list easily.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in my opinion, this deserved it 50 plus stones at least.
Yeah, I wish. The only thing is that, again, yeah, yeah, here you go. An endless sewage of bugs.
Yep.
Yeah, but again, like, even though this persisted, I don't remember the exact amount of time. It was at least several days. But like, it was just like a lot of like visual glitches and stuff like that. It wasn't like it's not like the game was like unable to be used. Like, you want to know what was a really bad issue? That actually is a little similar to this, but probably not quite as bad, was the giant glitch, the giant bug that happened in Dokkan, where when you finished like a round in giant, the game would crash. And on JP Dokkan, that bug was around for maybe a week or so before it was fixed, but on global, it was like several months where it lasted.
I remember that.
Yeah, I don't even know.
But even that issue, like, you're not required to use giant characters, right? You could still play the game and not use those characters, whereas in this bug, they literally removed modes from the game. So you couldn't even play them.
Yeah. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Again, I definitely would understand being fairly upset about this, right? Because again, Global Dokkan is basically in a position where you could barely play the game for a full week, and they're kind of just like, yeah, sorry, our bad. Here's 10 stones. So like, I certainly could understand upset feelings, but like, the point I sort of got away from it, but like, I feel like there was a concerted effort, like when this issue, like we as a community sort of found this issue before Akatsuki, right? And we like sort of brought that to them, emailing them, telling them their frustrations. I would certainly say, if the treatment of Global Dokkan is bothering you, I do think like emailing them is probably better than like review bombing or something like that. But it's very hard to say. I don't know. Again, it did seem as though they listened with this one, so I don't want it to seem like there's no hope. Like Dokkan, like anytime there's an issue, they're just completely like tone deaf. But 10 stones is definitely not a good look for this situation. There's no
10 stones I would consider to be tone deaf.
Yeah. So again, let me know what you guys think. I might sort of like see what people are saying like that and make another video later on. We'll see. But I mean, you could tell like 40 quote tweets. People are not happy. So again, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks everyone for watching, and we will catch y'all next time.